Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's a Squirrel Saturday here, and welcome all you Gwenters. As always, if you like this video, please leave a like. If you want to see improvements or different videos, leave a comment down below. And if you want to see more of my face, then leave a subscribe. Getting into this video, it is Scoia'tael time, as it is a Squirrel Saturday, and I have a few spicy decks that I really like myself. And the meta actually for Scoia'tael is quite good, quite diverse. Honestly, if all of the factions were like Scoia'tael, I would be pretty happy. But they're not. So, with that said, I'm going to show you my favorite deck. Bleeding Elves is my favorite deck from this season. I love Elves. I think this deck is super fun to play. It's highly competitive. It is not just constant gross removal. There are lots of damage pings, but it's not like a Skellige perpetual removal yuckness. It takes some forethought, takes some strategy, but it's not extremely difficult to play. In part because you only have one of each copy of card, because this does run Redea, and the general idea here is you want Feign Death, Redea, and Vernoisil all in the same round. The best option is to have it in round 2, and then you can bleed really hard, or you can fight against a bleed and you can go 2-0 with this deck, better than any other deck I've seen this season, in my opinion. I know a lot of people like the Keltalist decks for monsters right now. They have been murdered by me using this deck, so I would not recommend them. You get a ton of spawn, lots of row spam using Deadeyes. You also get like lots of spam using Neophytes, and the Neophyte that you're going to get from Redea using Onshade Saber. I do recommend using Onshade Saber in round 1 because it can give you an extra proc for Elven Swordmaster. Also feeds really well into both an Elias play, as Elias can destroy that 2-point Neophyte, and then proc 2 more of those Elven Deadeyes, and then you can get lots of boostage with Isengrim. Looking for him here. Or you can go for lots of smash damage using Yavin, and last but not least, you can get out Ailerin with those 2 elves, counting for 2 out of the 5 you need in order to draw out Ailerin from your deck, get some good thinning, and 5 points to the board. She being one of the best targets, in my opinion, for a thinning card. Winter Queen probably the only other one with a higher upside, but Ailerin's still quite great. Anyway, this is my favorite deck. Use it to go to pro. I would say, like, if you ask me right now, if you were to say to me, I need to go to pro, I only have a few days to do it, I would say Bleeding Elves and Skellige Warriors. Shield Wall is pretty good, but there's lots of counters to it. It's a little difficult to get used to as to how you play what in what round. Bleeding Elves is pretty straightforward, pretty easy to do. Check out the video above in the description. Okay, now, with that one out of the way, Forest Awakening, I like my Devotion Symbiosis deck. I think it's more fun. I think it's lots of points. I think there's lots of synergy. I got Zoltan's Company and Elias on here. If you wanted to, you could build in Great Oak, though I would rather have what's in here. I find Great Oak often gets bled from my hand and ends up falling flat. I either play it for way too many points to try to get out of a tight round, or it ends up just being just enough because the round is too short. So, but that is a fun deck. Check out my video. And anytime you would like, please join on Twitch. Just make requests for decks, and almost all the time I will play whatever you request, because I'm just down to clown. Seldomly I'm trying to push up ladder, but I'm already a pro this season. I'm not making top 500. I just have too many other things in my life to worry about than to worry about competing for top 500 at 3 o'clock in the morning on the last day of the season. Consistent hand boost is a total riot. Really recommend this if you're somebody who really wants to see how Sheldon works, or Aglais, or you just want general carryover value. We've got Hawker Smugglers in here with Circle of Life. There's also Dwarven Agitator. You could sub in another Dwarven Agitator, but I like the Sentinels in here as good thinning cards, good tempo play. Mahakam Volunteers with Novigradian Justice is one of the best tempo plays in the game, in my opinion. Highly recommend it. Yeah, cool stuff. Dunka also will get you hand boost, as well as Phyrexian onto a Dryad. Do not put that onto Ethne. We don't run Ethne in this deck, but if you run Ethne with Phyrexian, don't put it on Ethne in round 1 or round 2 since she's gonna transform. Last but not least, I'm going to leave a link for this video, just for this deck. If you're somebody who is like me and likes to get those keys, the juicy 2 keys from the 40 artifacts played, this deck will get you there in lickety split. You get Yorvith's Gambit to double play artifacts. You get portals to draw out the Elven Scouts, Dryad Matrons and Sentries for the movement. Sentries got a boof. They got a boost, a buff together, a boof with this extra armor. Actually really nice for them. Quite a quality card. Highly recommend using them with Dryad Matrons. Really good quality there. But Malena actually too works really nice. You could sub out like one of these 8-point cards or 9-point cards and put in your handy dandy Treant Boar. That gets you even more movement. He is only a 7-point card, so it is quite valuable. Works really well with the Blethana Sentries because he's moving back and forth. And then you can use it with Malena as well. She can move it back and forth to do some crazy nuttiness. Scepter of Storms is in here basically to force units onto a certain row, and then you just smash them with Crushing Traps. The setup I like to do here is get it tuned so you play cards in the first 2 rounds. Round 3, you have 2 Crushing Traps in deck as your only 2 traps. Play Yorvith's Gambit, pulls out the 2 Crushing Traps later into the round. Those do tons of damage. And then the next round you play Portal, brings out your Elven Scouts at the end of that round. Both those Crushing Traps are going to go off, boost the Elven Scouts by 4 points each, and do 2 damage to each of the units on the row with the most units twice using both those Crushing Traps. It's just a way to wreck nerds. This used to be actually a highly competitive deck, to be honest with you. It's since fallen off, but you could maybe get it to work. Neuromancy's in there just to make sure you're always getting exactly what you need. All right, my deck's out of the way. You know I'm going to give it to you guys honest. I'm going to give it to you guys straight. And here's where we are with the Team Leviathan gaming meta. I can't say how much it annoys me. Look, I like Busher. He needs to get a mic, but that's an aside. It drives me nuts because I listen to my videos like while I'm on a walk outside with my son, and the feedback just drives me absolutely bonkers. But I don't think that this deck has earned 4.25 stars. I just don't think that Shiru is actually all that great. It just requires too much. It requires too much precision. And people are smart nowadays, and they can counter this actually pretty strong. You can play around Shiru pretty well with most of the decks that are out there right now. And I think even worse, you can bleed it out round 2 to really wreck nerds. But I mean, they haven't even put together the deck list yet, so moving on. Nature's Gift. I won't play this deck. For me, this represents the season of stupid. Just constant perpetual removal that doesn't really actually have a lot of forethought. It just is. It's just mixing removal with tempo to try to get out as many points as you can really fast, and then just kill all of your opponent's engines. And for me, it's just annoying. But it is there. It's an option, and if that's something you're into, boogie with it. One thing I did want to note about Scoia'tael from the 1st to 16th of September statistics. Scoia'tael is one of the lesser played factions, so it is included at 77%. It is playing at 54% win rate, which is below Northern Realms and below Skellige, and slightly below Syndicate. But it is playing better than Monsters or Nilfgaard, so it is an easy 4th include, in my opinion. And you just get some more flexibility from some of these decks you can use. According to Aretuza, the Symbiosis non-devotion deck, like we just saw, very similar here, is the one that they recommend. Again, I don't sleep well at night when I play decks that are pure removal, so I don't do them. Symbiosis Devotion is more similar to my deck. There is still a couple of removals in here. I don't love Oak Critters. I know other people do. The 3 bleeding plus the double Oak Critters does give you 7 points in total. But they tip your opponent off to the fact that you are playing Devotion, and your opponent can make certain decisions based off of that. And I don't really like to tip them off to that, especially in round 1, which is typically when you're going to be playing your Oak Critters. Precision Strike Shiru is the other option that they have here. Again, I don't love Shiru. I think he can be countered too easily. It is what it is. You choose, you make your choices. 2 decks I wanted to flag that are available out here in the Play Gwent community. Number 1, Ultra In-Depth Guide, 88% win rate. Devotion, Scoia'tael. This is like a Great Oak Saskia, and it's almost like really similar to the deck I've been running. I'd say the only big difference here is that Great Oak inclusion, but Sultan's Company playing pretty well with this. And then you're also going to use these Oak Critters for Row Swarm. So if you are wanting something that has a proven track record, I'd recommend this. Lots of wins against what I'm guessing is Shield Wall, but lots of wins against Northern Realms. So if you're getting frustrated by playing a lot of Northern Realms decks and losing, this might be the deck for you. But I think anytime you see 88% win rate, I just think to myself, okay, what did you queue into? And I will say there are like very few Skellige decks on here. But I digress. Last but not least, Fuchsia Briefs has a really fun deck called Elf Esteem. If you just like want to see like some really crazy cool gameplay and you want to play something that's a really kind of super weird, this is really similar to Bleeding Elves, but instead of running Radea, you're going to use Sciana. I wish there was a better way to like buff her or boost her or protect her with this deck. There's not even a defender in here. But if you can get out your Sciana the round before you play Vernoisiel, you can wreck nerds with your Vernoisiel. Like, say you have out 6 Elven Deadeyes mixed from Leader and from Feign Death, and maybe like a couple of them get killed, so you use Elias or something like that. Say you have 6 of them out. You play Vernoisiel the melee, she's going to do 6 times 2 damage, obviously 6 procs of 2 damage to the opponent randomly. If you have triggered Sciana beforehand, Vernoisiel is going to do that not 6 times, but 6 times 2, so she's going to do it 12 times for a total of 24 damage. Obviously, sometimes they can hit shields, sometimes they can hit armor, but really great value in general. I just had something make my eyes water. Anyway, really fun deck. I highly recommend it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, please leave a like, as I've said before. But until next time, good luck on the path. Get out there and keep on gwenting.